On today's show, we'll meet the creator of the web series Pick-N-Roll, and we'll find out how he created this interesting sports-related web series.
Pick-N-Roll, it's about Jerome Jenkins, who is a former UCLA basketball star. It really follows the pitfalls and pleasures of celebrity and sports life. We follow the trajectory of this young basketball star and all the sorts of temptations and obstacles he has to face while trying to make it back into the NBA.
Right. So for people who don't follow sports much, this is based on a true story?
No. This is completely a narrative fiction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we kind of made up this star, and a lot of athletes can relate to the injury. Right. Now, Jerome, on his off season of his junior year, he gets sideswiped by a car, and he ends up tearing his ACL and his MCL. So the story is really about, can he relive and revisit that glory he had? I've always been a basketball fan. I'm an East Coast guy, so, we gobble it up for breakfast, basketball, Celtics all the time. So, when I relocated my company for good out here on the West Coast, I sort of looked at all the projects I had, and, this is the first one that I wanted to execute, and I've been lucky. I kind of assembled a great team. And but just the content of basketball, the NBA was in a lockout, Entourage was going away. I felt there was a need for that sort of, alpha male series that people could rally around. I write it, I co-write it actually with one of my clients, Tanner Grover. Okay. So he's really running with a lot of the ideas, and him and I work hand in hand. I got my degree in journalism from Roger Williams University out there. So it's fun to explore these. So they say write what you know.
Yes.
I still I gobble. I love basketball. So to be able to work with these athletes and put them in situations, see how they sort of move and wiggle, it's great. One of my biggest concerns was finding someone that could execute the acting and the basketball. It's very difficult. I had a major audition in Hollywood. I didn't find anybody, to be honest, on that first take, and I thought the project was dead in the water. One of our casting associates found this young gentleman, 21-year-old fresh-faced kid from SoCal. I put him through the ringer, checked his basketball skills, brought him out and played. He had the goods.
Right.
So then we sort of went through an acting type, almost like a training school, really, where I got in his head and I sort of, made him read up on some past NBA studs that have had that injury, and we started developing a little bit of a backstory, and then we just executed the pilot, and from there the story kind of just started to tell itself. There was a lot of ways to go, and obviously you watch some of these things, it has to be what happens off the court as well.
Yes.
And that's what we can relate to, as humans.
Right.
He added a little monkey in the wrench with the girlfriend. Now he had a real loyal girlfriend that stood by him. Now when he had the injury, he hit rock bottom. Okay. So he lost his scholarship. He basically isolated a lot of his family and friends, but this girl was always sort of by his side.
Right.
And a little hint that we do in one of the episodes is they're out at a club and they're celebrating his birthday. She sort of shows up, and she quit drinking, but yet we have a scene where we see her vomit in the bathroom. So hey, she might be pregnant. I don't know. You have to stay tuned. Stay tuned for episode 10.
And how many? Oh yeah, I was just about to ask you that. How many episodes?
We're on episode. We just released episode 9 this week. And one great thing that happened with this episode is we were able to track notorious NBA cult figure Keith Claus.
Oh, okay.
Now this guy was 7'3". He played for the Clippers, which is great. Now Keith, in real life, his story mirrors what Jerome went through. He had a little trouble personally in terms of getting a little too into the booze, too into the liquor, and he sort of drank himself out of the league. Right. And he was a tremendous talent. So it's been excellent, and it's been a blessing to us to have him on board now to add that credibility in terms of having, because I really want to attract some more black celebrity stars, and I think that could really soak their feet into this sort of content, and it will definitely help us take it to that next level. It's not really, and that's really what drew me to the project. If we think globally, I mean, when you watch the Olympics, there's fans all over the world that sort of embrace this type of content.
Right, yeah.
So we're excited to keep exploring all the different trials and tribulations with that. I brought aboard a nice little production crew that I assembled. Chris Kaiser and his production team. He's the main DP on the project. So him and I really got together, and I kind of coached him on the aesthetic I wanted, which was that gritty, fly in the wall urban landscape where you get that actiony handheld, sort of like The Shield meets The Wire. So I thought that was very important. I'm glad that you responded to that. Not sure, like I get a lot of emails. Yo, what's Jerome doing now? And I'm like, his name's Patrick Jeremy Rigby. He lives down in Marina Del Rey.
That's the thing. I mean, that's what's good about it. I think is that you have that. The story seems so believable. That's what I mean. It doesn't seem contrived.
Good.
And that's what made me think, oh, this must be based on.
Yeah, the risk we took with this project is I brought a lot of sort of fresh-faced novice actors on board. So I think the acting has continued to grow, and I like it that it's a little rough around the edges. I don't know if you're familiar with the show The Game, which is on BET. It sort of surrounds the NFL, but it's more of a sitcom kind of goofy type. So it's very glossy looking. It's a testament. I mean, they got 10 million viewers, which is great. But I kind of want to do this more on an indie level, and sort of be that little tugboat that couldn't. We just keep creating this content every day. It's growing and growing. It hasn't got to the level that I want yet, but I mean, we're featured on ESPN Radio. We're featured on Fox Sports News. So that's excellent.
You mentioned you had some a pro player involved. Have you reached out to any more? Or?
Yeah, we're starting to now, and we're getting inquiries from. We're in talks with a couple of pretty good names that I'm hoping we're going to be able to bring on board. I like to be a hyphenate in this city. I think that's really what sort of, will take you to that next level. So I've done a lot of acting in terms of, I wrote a project called Roid Rage, which was an independent action horror film. This was about an underground steroid dealer that gets a designer drug from the UK. Turns out it's contaminated with a strain of mad cow disease. When mixed with the anabolic steroid, it creates the ultimate roid rage. So we had a lot of success with that. It's done a little bit more sophisticated than it sounds, but took it to a lot of the festivals around the US, and that's actually how I became a publicist as well. Is I learned the ropes and the sort of tricks and trades of how to really maximize your festival. So my Rolodex built, and then my company just sort of evolved from that. I'm an independent film and branding publicist, so I specialize in elevating exposure and visibility. Through the work, and I've been doing this for a while now, I built a really robust and powerful Rolodex. So usually I create an insightful and alluring one-sheeter about a project, and then I market that directly to the entertainment world. Usually what happens is a surplus of creative collaborations or coverage on like-minded blogs. I secure interviews with a lot of film magazines. I do a lot of email introductions where that young screenwriter has to meet that producer on the up and up. So it is very important, though. I mean, we could have the best thing in the world, but if no one knows about it, it's sitting dormant. And my company's called Wicked Pissa Publicity, which is it's a sort of Valentine to my city, Boston. Wicked Pissa was an old colloquial slang term that really just meant awesome. So, and I was, I'm sure I turned off some Puritans and some conservatives with the name, but it's really as as juvenile and fun as it can be. So kind of encapsulates my whole. I represent a lot of young, fresh, edgy brands, and a lot of cool actors and filmmakers and directors on the rise. I came here initially, and I do a lot of red carpet events, and so I wanted to concentrate on that and build sort of a fan base, build just contacts in the industry and everything. So I did that for my first couple of months. And then Pick-N-Roll is the first on my agenda. So I have several. I came out here with all guns blazing. So I think you have to do several things, and it's based idiosyncratic, meaning what is your content geared to? For instance, if it's a ski show, it all depends in terms of, but just to take the standard approach, I mean, you have to almost attack all avenues in terms of marketing. And what you should probably first do is make a distribution list, one meaning of people that will help build those links. So anybody, even if it's family and friends at first, just compile like through Excel or through some of the email direct marketing sites you can do really easily. But I think a lot of people don't want to put in that legwork, and it is a full-time job. The second part of, I say you make 3 projects: the one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you market and edit. So you really have to take that to heart and pound that pavement like a rock star, because it's difficult. We're almost flooded with so much content nowadays. How do you get yours to stick out from the masses?
Right.
So it is on a case-to-case basis, but my strong advice would be to put a little budget aside for that. Put a little strategic meetings that think what's the best way to do. And I think a release party can be great too. Once you have it in the can, have a release party, invite people out, make them like and subscribe to your Facebook and YouTube page as a way of getting admission to the event. Maybe find some local sponsors. But there's really no exact recipe to what becomes a major hit. I don't know if you're familiar with the show The Guild.
Yes.
So The Guild is probably the best example of a web series that has really revolutionized itself. And of course it was geared towards the gaming world.
Yes.
And there you go. I mean, the gaming world, there's so many different avenues they went, and there's a lot of blogs and marketing sites. So so it's tricky, and there's really no direct blueprint.
Exactly.
But
that's what I like about your show too, how you geared it. That's advice, good advice when it's geared towards a certain existing audience already.
Right. It's very important. Because they want that. They want to see something like that. Especially, I'm surprised that some of the major networks, it hasn't been done yet. Yeah. So the goal with this is, Oz is produced, for the price of a Spalding basketball. So, we don't have that outrageous, Trump type money behind it.
Right.
But I think I really do if, networks took this a little serious and they were looking for something that could really, I think, become a water cooler show. I think we have the nuts and bolts to make that happen.
What I'd like to highlight from today's interview with Josh is that he told me he created the web series with his audience already in mind from the very beginning. He's an avid sports fan, so he saw that there was a need for an entertainment type show that reached out to sports fans. So he thought about it and created this program, Pick-N-Roll. But what's really interesting about that is that web series producers should also think that way. You may have a great idea, it may be something that's interesting to you or a small group of your friends, but you need to have a way to outreach to people out there who may want to watch the same thing that you want to watch. So if there's a user communities, online gamers, horse riders, whatever the case may be, whatever the large group of people out there that already use the web, there may be an opening out there for you as a content creator looking to create a web series where you can reach an audience who doesn't have any theatrical programming that they might like to watch. So there's an opening out there. Look for it, see what you can find. I'm James Tucker, and you've been watching The Web Series Show.